Okay. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our monthly Cathy's Corner session for the post-Ponga community. It's a thrill to have so many of you here today. This is always an exciting event for us as we walk through the real and very practical challenges of getting from those paper photos and documents and other artifacts we have in our family history collections into digital forms that we can do something with and add to our collections with stories and family engagements to get our families interested in it. Today we have, as we do each month, our very special guest and my partner here in crime, Cathi Stone. I'm going to turn it over to Cathi to go ahead and get started.
Wow. All right. So what I what I thought we'd do is we were supposed to start talking about. I should just hang on. Let's see if we can do the technology quickly here.
You got this.
I've been on Zoom. Oh, that's what I want to do. Okay. What do I want? I want a window.
While you work on that, I can even slip in.
I got it.
Got it?
Well, I don't know.
Is it?
Do you see it?
There we go.
Okay, and I'm just going to leave the whole thing up and not try and present the screen, but just as a review, we've been going through the 8 steps and sometimes people condense them into only 5 steps. So we picked 8, just it's kind of random. But in general, the steps, these are the things you need to do. And we've been through, just in case you think we're not accomplishing anything, we've been through gather, plan the scope of work, the sort. And last time we talked about everything about digitizing. And when our next thing to talk about is archiving, which is another word for putting away the originals and the digital files, and then how to organize those digital files are coming up. And then we'll get to the favorite part for me, which is making the connections and sharing the stories and things. So that's what's coming up. But I just thought we'd take a step now and see where everybody is in their process, and if you have any questions, places you're stuck on. And I should mention too that we're taking a bit different of an approach this time, because we're talking about in order for this not to be such an overwhelming task, we're talking about breaking it down into projects. And so the 8 steps, you do them like if your mind works like, no, I need to do my whole entire photo stuff and memorabilia, I need to do it all at once, go for it. But that can sometimes make us not really not want to do it too much. So we've talked about picking a project to work on. And I know some of you have projects you're working on. I have a bunch of projects to work on because, as we mentioned when we started out, I've been a photo manager with the photo managers for since 2014, almost 10 years now, which is hard to believe. And I've organized other people's photos. And Marilyn just asked if there's a handout. There will be if I say anything of importance. We'll make you a handout.
And I promise an outbound email as a follow-up to all of this that will include the recording as well as my own notes.
Yeah.
Of what Cathi references, and I'll chase after her for links as well.
So I've been working with clients, and so obviously we do the whole entire collection all at once. We don't just say, oh, well, let's just do a piece of it this time and another one another time. But that's great when you're doing that and getting paid for it. But when you're doing your own, sometimes you need to see some results quicker than doing your own collection. And so that's what we're kind of talking about here, is hoping to help you either do the steps are the same, whether you do your whole collection or just a project. And so I've kind of broken mine down because after all these years of helping other people do their photos, I'm starting to work on mine, because you wake up one day and go, gee, I'm not getting any younger. And at some point, somebody's got to do this. And I think it's going to be me. So I've been blundering my way through various different attempts where I thought I had time to work on mine, where I've stopped and started doing them. And so in terms of a photo mess, I got a good one for you. So I've been practicing what I say, and I'm working on breaking pieces of it down into the steps and identifying what needs to be done in particular projects. I have all my my mother's family's legacy photos. I have some of my husband's family, their photos, not as many as my mother's, obviously. And then I have, so that, I guess that is my heritage too. But then I also have my own photos. I have twin boys who I think they're going to be 28 in November, which I'm not too sure how that happened. But I haven't, I did some albums, traditional scrapbook albums a long time ago, but I still haven't got, I'm really behind on the family stuff. So that's kind of, I've sort of separated those into projects. And then I'm going through the steps for each project. And that way it's not as, shall I say, boring as trying to scan this many photos. I've got a personal or not a personal collection, a client that I'm finishing off, and I just checked the other day, and apparently I have close to 90,000 scanned documents that now I'm trying to go through, and so possibly more. I don't know if that was that was the number when I put it in Lightroom the other day. I'm not sure that there aren't more than that aren't in there yet, but that's been a long process to go get that project done. And so for me, I need to see the results. I need these little projects. And I think, Barbara, that's what we're going to look at in terms of the project sessions and the recipes, to do something with the photos, because that's where we get the joy out of it, as opposed to, after a while, the organizing, the digital, particularly if you're scanning yourself. And I know lots of people absolutely love scanning. I'm not one of them. So if you love scanning, good for you. But Carol is shaking her head. I'm like, no, not my favorite thing to do. And I have high-speed scanners and stuff. I'm not trying to do it all on a flatbed, but it just, I don't get it. It doesn't bring me a whole lot of joy, but getting my photos digitized has brought me so much joy. I had put a post on Facebook the other day. I just got back a bunch of photos that were digitized for me. I'm now they're sending out my digitizing as opposed to doing it myself. And I just got a whole nother load uploaded to my storage account. And it was from, I think it's like 203. And the meaningfulness of doing this is, I've had the last 4 years have been rough for everybody. It's not been great. The whole situation with COVID, stuck in your house, had a little bit of cancer last year, till the tail end of COVID. So the last 4 years have been a little bit where I'm thinking, man, I don't really do anything much anymore for fun. Or what have I accomplished battling chronic illness and then another thing and then COVID and everything else? But when I looked at those pictures of me with my kids, my boys were in scouting. I was a scout leader from Beavers all the way up until one son in Canada. That's our youngest kids, but it goes all the way up from, they joined in when they were 6. And one of my sons stayed in until he finished high school. So, or even longer. He may have even been in university when it got too busy. So to look back at all those photos, I found trips of us hiking on the Columbia Icefields Glacier. And I went, you know what? We had a great time. We had a good life. So not that it's over yet, but it's good to see that. It's good to, and yeah, I had the pictures in a box, but when would I last have looked at those? Probably not long after they got developed would have been when I last looked at them. So I think that's the value in what we're doing. And I don't think I have much more to add to that, but I'm loving this. I'm loving helping people with their own collections and trying to get to the good part.
So let me add to that a couple things. First of all, logistics. If you are, this is a little different than programs that we've done in the past where we have a series of slides presenting. And if you're trying to mess around, as I was a moment ago, on figuring out where Cathi is in the little boxes and whatnot, you'll see the little 3 dots next to the hang up button, the obviously red hang up button. And that's where you'll see a change layout button, and you can rearrange your screen that way to stay focused on the speaker or look the other way, whatever you'd like to do. The second point to that is really, a comment on my part about finding joy. We think about joy, does it bring you joy, and throw it out if it doesn't, the old, Marie Kondo method. leaving that completely aside and all of the perspective on that, thinking about these family stories, these family artifacts, the photos and things, I think it's really important to be in touch with where the joy comes to you. I can't tell anybody else where their joy comes from, but just being in touch with that, I think, is just so important. I like to believe that what we're doing as a community is creating new ways, inspiring new ways that people can get in touch with their own family stories and the joy that it brings them. So, as Cathi and I compared notes for what we want to try to accomplish today, I think the biggest thing is just talking to each other and tell us about what you're trying to do. Tell us about the challenges that you're looking at and why you're here. You're taking some precious time out. I'd love to know what you're looking at and how we can help each other. So with that, let me just open it up. There's a little mute button. I can't unmute you. You have to unmute yourself and pop up and tell us a little bit about what you're working on and how we can help you. I'm going to pick on the pros here. There you go, Simon. I was about to pick on you. The rest of you, meanwhile, can find your way to that unmute button or text me if you need to send a message here if you need help. So tell me.
Then forgiveness of burning down the White House, have you? You're going to pick on me.
It's pretty obvious, wasn't it?
No, we were on vacation this summer. We went to my wife's American, as you know, Barbara. We went to the White House, and the security guard at the gate said, he looked at my passport and said, "We're not letting you in. You burn the place. You might burn the place down." And I had to confess, isn't that terrible? I didn't actually know that episode of history, and I thought, this guy's crazy. Anyway, I found out.
Well, we always called Canadians as the ones who they were the redcoats. Just saying.
Anyway, but it's still standing, so they let me in, and I got so I'm actually doing literally before we came, your emails, by the way, that come in like in sort of countdown to, because I was buried in something, and your emails are really helpful because they drag you out and there's a link, and just like I didn't have to flannel around and go. So thank you for that. So I'm doing this really interesting thing. There's I don't know if you've seen it, but over here there's the Society of One Place Studies. That ring a bell? Yes. They're having a 10th anniversary event. Anyway, that's got me. It's like 10 days, and each day is packed with 10-minute videos. So like 100 people putting something together. Anyway, I'm trying to put one together for the village of my birth. So I was very interested. One thing that sort of comes across, Cathi, is you're talking about sort of recent memories and also past memories, and I've literally got everything on the table in a mess, as it were, virtually and physically, trying to bring together a few things. So the village of my birth, which no one will ever heard of, it's called Little Shelford. It's outside Cambridge, in Cambridgeshire, in England, and it has the River Cam running through it. It goes into Cambridge, and reasonably rural, and it was a real adventure playground for us kids, you know, trees, ruined houses, swimming in the river, all that sort of stuff. I'm very lucky in that a Victorian lady called Fanny Whale, who was the daughter of sort of like the local landowner, main guy, she did this illustrated history of it. I mean, this beautiful hand painted sort of stuff. And somebody took some lottery money and preserved it, so anyone can have access to this beautiful book. I mean, I can show you, I don't know if this shares, but I can even show you some pages from it if you like. Yeah, I'll try. Let's have a look. I'm on their web page at the moment.
I did just drop the link for the Society of One Place Studies into the chat, so everybody will have that.
I've got that tech problem that we all have. Let me put on the spot. Where's the share? Present. Is that it?
That's it.
Okay, so this is just an example. So this can you see this page with the blacksmith?
Not yet. Oh, there it comes. Yep.
Oh, cool.
So this is this book she wrote. This illustrated. Look at these little drawings. So she's mapped the whole village. This is the. Oh, this I have to tell you about it. This is the obelisk on the hill at the edge of the village. And every kid for 300 years has climbed that. So I've got a picture of my brother and I as little children sitting on that. We've managed to get up it. And then I've got pictures of us as adults recreating the scene. And then my children have climbed it. Anyway, so it's obviously a very special place. And you see this here, that's the level crossing where the train goes over. And they see that little tunnel down there. So she did this around 1900. When we were kids, we would used to climb. It's a stream under there. We would climb under it and wait for the trains to go over.
So let me back up for a second here, Simon. Excuse me for interrupting, and I want to make sure we've got room for everybody to be jumping in. But to summarize this is a book that was written in the early 20th century. Is that right? About the community that is your birthplace. And you found this document digitized on the Society for One Place Studies site?
No, just the local Family History Society. So what I'm proposing to do for the One Place, sorry, I'm gabbling on. Is to take extracts from the book with her beautiful pictures and to marry that up with actual pictures of today. And pictures from our family photo album of when we were kids. And then there's one final magic ingredient. Has anyone ever read as a child the book Tom's Midnight Garden? Does that ring any bells?
No.
I probably didn't get outside. But there was a film made about it. So it's Tom. He's sent away. It's probably based in the sort of 50s, maybe 60s. He's sent away to stay with his aunt and uncle in this creepy old house where there's an old lady who lives at the top of the house, and it's surrounded by, there's no garden or anything. It's just surrounded by development and housing. And at midnight, the clock strikes 13, and he goes out to investigate. And the back door opens, and he's in a Victorian garden, and he befriends this girl Hattie, who's the Victorian girl, and he has all these adventures, ice skating on the river and etc., etc., etc. And it's very poignant actually, because she grows up and it's all about growing up and separation and all sorts of things. And then at the end, what transpires is the old lady that everyone's scared of in the top of the house, that's her. And it was all real, and they recognize each other at the end. And it's really. Anyway, that's in the village. So the author was the daughter of the miller, the plough mill on the river. And it's based in adult life. She moved back into this mill lane, into this walled garden place. She married this guy actually in '62, who died 2 years later because he was a Japanese prisoner of war and he didn't survive. But they had a daughter. Anyway, that's by the by. So you have this story, and so you'll see pictures in that book I showed you of like swimming pools in the river and the meadow, but they were my playground too. So they were like Tom's virtual playground. Fictitious playground. They were my actual playground, and this lady Fanny Wales has painted them and written about them in the late 1800s. So I'm trying. So you can imagine how I'm just sitting here at the edge of this, thinking, how am I going to condense that into a 10-minute sort of digital presentation?
So Simon, I think I can get away with doing this because I know you are the founder of We Are XYZ, which I would encourage all of you to take a good look at. I'm trying very, very hard not to kind of have sponsorships or anything like that with this program. And you've been very gracious not to even mention that, which is incredibly. Thank you. You've also, if I may interrupt you, just described in this beautiful conversational hyperlinked way exactly what we're trying to do here, is to say that we can explore these elements of our own stories and our own families, plus this plethora of information that's out there on the web, things we didn't even know existed, and start to marry them together. And that's possible today because of these simple tools anybody can use to start putting those pieces together. And I really want this community to find ways to inspire each other and to unravel the little technical glitches and hooks and ideas to get there from here. This just 5 minutes of description, you've brought all of that together in inspiration. So to Cathy's point, for this monthly meeting is kind of a guided tour through the mechanics of the steps from a box of photos to something you can do something about to make those connections. And I just love that. Thank you. That's marvelous. Do others of you have ideas like that you're exploring, or want to tell us a little bit about where you are now and challenges that you're looking at? Cathi, sorry, Anna, I can't read that. Go ahead.
I was just noting down sort of the project focus thing.
Uh-huh.
The steps. So basically, I'm doing family research, but I'm also member of local heritage association in one of the places where my roots go to, which is a mining community in Bergslagen in central Sweden. And it's a mining community that has had where they have carbon dated finds for the last, they've been working with iron, making iron for the last 3,000 years at least.
Incredible.
So it's one of the oldest settings in Europe for it. And we are trying to archive all the paperwork and photos and drawings. It's leaflets, booklets, books. It's written stories. There has been study circles where people who grew up in a specific area of the village have been telling their stories from growing up in the early and middle of the 1900s, and recollections of things they were told by their parents and grandparents. And we didn't just want to archive all of it and digitize it and archive that. So what we've been doing is we've been printing out photos of cottages and houses and ironworks that has been torn down, which most of it has been. And then we're trying to find the facts. When was it built? When was it torn down? What did people do who lived in these places? We add it with family research. We get some of the families that actually lived in the house, the parents, all the children, if any of them emigrated or if they died in the mines, because that was very common, both of them, in the late 1800s. You find old maps like this. You have to find out, what are these houses called? Are they still there today?
Right.
So you look at historical maps, you look at today's maps. You put together a fact sheet like this with some of the families, some of the stories about the place. And then you put up a photo, you laminate it together with some short stuff, a QR code, a web link that goes to the internet. So people can go on the internet and get all these extra information. They can print out a map and go and have a look at the places themselves. But when we put the signs up, we also put the information out on the local Facebook group and say, bring your fika, which is your stories. In Sweden, it would be coffee and a sandwich of some kind, or sweet cinnamon buns or something, because halfway through you take a fika break, a coffee break, and then anyone who is interested can join in when we go out and put the signs up. We go and find them out, we tell the stories, we tell about the people who have been living there, take more photos. So it starts so it's a way of recording the stories, and to turn it into, so anyone can participate in, the whole community can participate in things that they're interested in. If they live locally in the village today they might be interesting to see where the pieces were,
Right.
especially if they have sort of deep roots in that village. But there's also people all over Sweden who have their roots in this village and in North America, and they can then use the website to find the same information.
Right, right. You know, someday there may be platforms and things that do that. I sort of hope there isn't, in a sense, because I want these kinds of things to be open source and authentic to their communities. But the ways in which both the Society for One Place studies and the kind of work that you're doing and archaeologists and sociologists around the world are going deep into the historical roots of communities, not just families, I find absolutely inspiring. I love that. And we're going to talk later about potentially making a dedicated event.
I have it prepared here.
There we go. There we go. So stay tuned for that in the weeks and months to come. I think, you know, listening to the kind of work that you've done professionally with a community is so inspiring to but a little humbling to what any one of us might do on a little afternoon project. And I think it's really important, just as Cathi was saying, you know, you don't have to look at scanning every single picture you ever owned and then starting to think about what you might do with them. You can also do it in small bites, and one project at a time. We're here to guide people to some of the complicated issues on the technical side, or things like archiving and privacy that aren't obvious with the platforms that are out there, so that they can be more comfortable in putting the time in, that the time you put in now to these projects will be protected going forward in the future. Who else wants to tell us about what they're working on? All the lips get sealed. I really would love to hear what you're up to. Cathi, you're muted. Muted. There you go. Oop.
Oh,
there you go.
Okay. Must have double clicked and muted it again. Or if you're stuck on something and have questions, like the time for you, ask. And I welcomed AJ Turner, who just joined us.
There you go.
So questions, or tell us a little bit about the project. Are you stuck on something? What's your next step? What are you hoping to do? I know, well, depending on where you are, summer, sometimes places where we have short summers, we tend to be outside every minute that we can, as opposed to working on photos inside. So what are you going to work on in the fall?
And what brings you here today?
Even better question.
So starting Tuesday, I have another session, which will be the first in a series I'm going to do twice a month on Tuesdays for project clinics. And the idea there is you come to the session without a project, with just a couple of ideas, and we'll sort of talk them through. And if it gets quiet, I'm going to flood you with the crazy ass ideas that I have. Trust me, you'll want to stop me and tell me about what you want. Quick. All right. Shall we start exploring some of the projects that are in the world of the possible?
Well, I'll just make a mention now too, Barbara, before if
she knows to stop me, see.
No, I'm not going to stop you. I'll let
Yes,
you go in a minute. But I wanted to mention a couple things. September is Save Your Photos Month. I made a post about it in the forum today, and it's a great thing. It's founded by the photo managers. It's a little bit near and dear to my heart because it came out from a conference in 2014 that after the Joplin tornadoes and the severe flooding we had in southern Alberta, and a bunch of photo managers got together at that time and thought, what can we do to help encourage people to preserve their photos? And again, it's been brought back to the forefront. Where I live, I've been under a tremendous amount of smoke for the last almost all summer from all the fires burning in Western Canada. I'm really lucky. I'm safe where I am. There's no fires anywhere near me, but a lot of people, and I personally know people who have been evacuated, and it's very traumatic. So that's Save Your Photos. That's how it came to be. But we have so many great presentations in Save Your Photos month. So I'll pop the link in the chat too. Carolyn just said she remembers all our presentation on that. So we talked about what that was like to find damaged photos that were covered in mud, people's lives, their whole family histories covered in mud, some of it wrecked, some of it we were able to save. So, but there is so many sessions. I told Barbara I was going to put the ones I recommended. So I was looking at the list today, and there are, I don't think there are any I would say I don't recommend this. They're in several languages now. I couldn't find the which all the languages they were in. I know there's some in Dutch, I think Spanish, I think also Portuguese. So everyone here I think is English speaking, but they are in a lot of different languages too. So that's a big leap this year, but the sessions all look good. Week 1 starts September 1st, and it's all things that that we've been talking about. All the sessions are, and so they're presented by professional photo managers, and most of them I've heard present, and they're all great. Carolyn, I don't know are you presenting this year at Save Your Photos? I'm presenting an adjunct session for Save Your Photos for B&H Photo, and I also put that in the events too.
Yeah.
So that's next week on Tuesday, but not the same time as Barb's, not the same time as our other session. So fortunately they aren't overlapping. So
Well,
across and put the link in.
Across the board, all of these kinds of tools, like Cathy's sessions that are all available recorded in our forum, are a great way to check back in with the workflow that you're taking to make sure you haven't missed anything. I know for me, listening to Cathy's earlier sessions on organizing before you scan, and tools like her tracker devices, so that you can go back and find that original when you've only got the scan, for example, or you want the top pictures of your eldest daughter before a wedding, and you had listened to how to implement the metadata that you went to go back and watch a recording. Carolyn has a fabulous series for how to be thinking about your metadata as a top line to a much more in-depth series that she does. Very sensitive subject for us, or certainly for me, relative to Ponga, which many people came to for the facial organization. And you know, I've spent some time. I talk about that a little bit in the AI program that we did a few weeks ago. And frankly, I'm in the process of based on facial organization, adding metadata to my own photos so that I can quickly and easily find people in my photos in a non-platform specific way, a standards-based way. So that, I think, is sort of fundamental to the principles that I like to focus on here as a group. I talk about 5 essential elements of digital family history projects, which are things like storytelling, duh, digital, duh, but it's also the complicated things like privacy and archiving, and then that messy category of all the kinds of digital tools that you can apply to a visual image. I talk about that in the context of AI. Facial recognition is one of them. OCR, frankly, is also there, and as old as the hills, but with things like handwriting recognition is also AI fueled today. And in fact, Simon, another little plug coming your way, heads up, has implemented something very interesting in bringing documents in his archiving functions. You can bring all these archives in, handwritten archives, and they've added some delightful features to be able to read that handwriting. Did I get that right? Mute button, quick.
Missing my cue.
Yes.
Yes. So, well, I mean, just very simply, we've made so you can really make an album out of a document, and so it's like page by page, and then next to it you put a transcription was something I've just wanted forever. You know, like you see a beautiful written thing, you want to appreciate its originality. It's, you know, it's the closer you can get to touching it virtually, and then you want to actually understand what it says. Have that written down next to it. So yes, thank you for mentioning that.
By the way, it's interesting that you say that gesture. I love that, because in a sense, what that gets at is the tactical, right? Is that right?
Tactile.
Tactile. Thank you. I knew that was wrong. The tactile sense of a thing, which in digital form and the forms that we have available to us today is not really an option. And yet with a range of photographs, I'm looking at a, actually, I believe this is from the Isle of Wight, you know, piece of glass, which, by the way, I thought was Murano glass. I did a Google image search to be able to find the distinctive characteristics, which turn out to be the little foot on the bottom there, which helped me to place it as the Isle of Wight that my mom acquired in one of her cruises that she did back in the day. Those, to me, are the kinds of things that take you from an object that you can feel to something that lets you feel the story inside. And that's what I love about that little gesture, because it does get to that point. And I think for so many of us who have had that opportunity to feel both, are struggling with ways to communicate that, you know, that thing of itness.
I think the Japanese have a word, don't
Exactly.
they? I don't know what it is, but someone's told me there's a word. Yeah.
The word is mono no aware. It means, that was actually my academic background.
That was very good. That was...
Mono no aware. Mono is thing. Aware is the sadness of it. And the expression comes from watching cherry blossoms. You go out to watch the cherry blossoms fall. Cherry blossoms are pretty. So what? You go out, you see them. Okay, you're done. No, you go out and see the cherry blossom. What makes cherry blossoms so special is they are special for an infinitesimally small moment of time, and then it's gone. And when you think about the physical world, it's actually like that, right? You have something for just this moment, and then it's gone. And we may talk about some, you know, valuable artifact, and we may protect it very well, but still, fires happen. Lahaina, you know, things happen, and then they're gone. And the thing that is so meaningful about them is when we put our souls into them. And how are we putting our souls in? We're putting our soul in the stories that we tell about them. And that's the kind of thing that just gets me going. That's the kind of thing that really inspires me for this. Now, Mark, I'm going to pick on you. See where your mute button is down there? Yeah, I'm going to pick on you. Heads up. You know, I saw you nodding your head about Lahaina. And that kind of experience, I'm thinking you know what I'm talking about.
Well, I'm not too, I do know what you're talking about, but I don't know that special connection there, but you lose everything. I mean, it's like starting from zero, and all your memories are lost, so to speak. They're there, but they're not there because you don't have the objects anymore. Just tragic.
Yeah. It's tragic about things, but for many of us, I imagine many of you are like me, have family members who have lost their memories through dementia. And, you know, we love the person for who they are and who they change into with a loss of the memories. But the memories themselves so often are the thing that they're carrying. They are the carriers of from previous generations. It is a similar kind of thing in many ways. But yeah, it's mono no aware. At least I think that's one of the words. There's Japanese is probably 18 different words for that, that oh, but the pity of things, oh, but the loss. And, you know, the Tale of Genji, the Japanese, lots of Japanese literature comes around to that same kind of sense of moment and loss, moment and it's gone, and therefore the appreciation of the moment. That's been your cultural moment. I dipped into esoteric, I admit it. Please save me, Marcy.
I'm interested in the notion of I was struck at the beginning, you were talking about the joy of getting inside the stuff. For me, that joy is it's like double-sided. It's like there's a big amount of melancholy and I'm staring into these faces, whether it's me or my children or my grandparents, or increasingly my great-grandparents or even my great-great-grandparents, as I get to know them by working out the streets they're in, what they look like, and just it's constantly circling around, isn't it? Getting closer and closer and closer to them, where you reach a point where you're just so frustrated, like I just want to go back and see them, and you feel sad, like, and it's you're setting yourself up for it, and it is a joy of sorts. But it's
I think that's a good point too, because you look at all the photos and you want to ask them questions. Like my grandparents immigrated from Chesterley Street in County Durham, in England. And my grandfather was a coal miner, which might be the answer to the question, but I always wondered what possessed them to pick up their whole lives and move to a farm in the middle of Western Canada, in the middle of nowhere, and start farming. When he was a coal miner, he came from a long generation of coal miners. And I want to know, what did my grandmother think of that? Like, what did she think about it? Because here she turned up on a farm, from having always lived, obviously, in a city, on a farm with a little tiny house and a big pile of dirt, with 2 little kids, and proceeded then to have my mother and a few more little kids. But what did they think about that? And it's like the melancholiness, I think, comes from, I wish I could ask them, and why didn't I? When I could have.
I think I have a guess on that. Since the village I was talking about were miners as well, it was a way for them to actually get to own a house.
Yeah.
And because they were living in cottages that were owned by the mining corporation, and the mining corporation could kick them out whenever they wanted.
Yeah.
And tear the cottage down.
Yeah.
So it was a desperate try to get something to better your position.
Well, and not a very safe, I'm sure, Anna, you've seen the records as well for your area, not a safe profession. Like when we look at the registers of the deaths, trying to find other relatives, it's just sort of almost shocking at the number of men who died very young in the coal mines. Like it wasn't the best of safe occupations.
Yeah, it was. They fell quite often to their death. There was no safety.
No. None.
So the last one of mine that died in a mining accident was in 1920, and he fell 164 meters down to the bottom. And got crushed. And his sons were working in the mine at the time.
You know, it's interesting you bring up the word melancholy and sadness, because last year, as many of you know, was a hard year for me for a number of reasons. But my state attorney shared with me that grief, real grief, is like the flip side of love. And, you know, so often it is going through old pictures is a form of healing, right? It's a form of grieving, of feeling that love and expressing that love as you go through it. There's all sorts of complications around that too, of course. But it, even for people you never knew, I was just on a little vacation and was actually a very good time. I've even had posted pictures in my social media post this morning. Those came from my vacation. And I'll talk about some of those stories in my project on September 14th. But that sense of loss, of missing, of not understanding why someone did something. In this case, I had family, old Quaker family in the area of North Carolina I was visiting from the 17th, 18th centuries. And I don't know what the mysteries were as to how and why they got there, what the whole story is. And I feel a little sad to not know that. But it's like I'm doing a labor to explore them. Like that process, as I'm able to document it and then pass that on, is like a labor and investment for the privilege of being able to explore it. Anybody else feel that way?
Yep.
Yeah, it's a process. And, you know, like I had the benefit, some of you might have been in one of our programs where Rob Kershaw of Story Center participated. Storycenter.org is a wonderful organization based here, actually in Berkeley, California. I'd never heard of until last year, and they're like a mile from my home. It's another story, but they're lovely. And they essentially are teaching skills of digital storytelling in video form to a lot of nonprofits who are mission-driven nonprofits to help them get their stories across. One of the key things that I came away with was realizing how sometimes you're not ready to tell a story, that telling a story is like touching the third rail, and it's just too close. It's too soon. And that's okay. And finding which stories you're ready to talk about, even if there are stories that you know have to be told, but you're not ready to do it. Or there is someone who you're close to that is not ready to be part of that. Yeah, this is heavy emotional work. I thought we were talking about paper here, kids. What the heck? Yeah, that's a great point, Cathi. Helps us pick up the projects that we're ready to work on. Yeah, right size them. Linda just went to go get the project to work on. Did you do that, Linda? Are you ready? I won't pick on you. It's okay.
Linda's trying to
I'm not
unmute.
working on anything right now because I just finished that big project of my mom. So
Mhm.
I'm not working on anything. I've talked to Cathi. I might start my own life. I don't know. That's what I'm thinking. Because I
Good for
got a
you.
million pictures too, but I don't know for sure. I've been waiting. I guess it's been a busy summer.
Yeah.
Like Cathi says, full of smoke. You can't do anything. It's been really terrible. But, yeah, and I have relatives both from Kelowna and Yellowknife, so not here, but elsewhere, like out of their own homes, and what can you do? You can't.
Yeah. Those are two cities with large evacuations.
Yeah.
The entire city of Yellowknife, population about 90,000 people, and they're all evacuated right now.
Yeah.
The whole city is evacuated. So
The whole city. Yeah. Yeah. My
It's,
family were
yeah.
very fortunate that they have a son that's at the army base, and they took in their whole family of
Wow.
people plus 3 dogs and a cat.
And
So,
over time, ticking
Yeah.
by all of the stresses and strains of that kind of thing. Oh,
yes.
I'm so
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah.
I hope
But
they're
anyway,
taking pictures to tell those stories.
Mhm.
Because the
I'm
stories
sure,
are happening now.
I'm sure, because there's well, not elderly people, not like us, no, younger. My niece and her family, but plus little ones, her grandchildren and stuff. Yeah, busy time.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's scary.
So time is ticking by now for our session, and I know it's getting very, very late for those of you calling in from Europe. Again, very, very grateful for it. I wanted to call attention to the projects that we have coming up in September. Also, a little heads up, we have a name change coming. Post Ponga was always a placekeeper, a placeholder, because, you know, I had a platform called Ponga and now I don't. And I needed to come up with a name in a hurry, and I did. But we got a new name coming. I'm not going to tip it yet, but it will be. I hope to roll it out in and it boggles the mind of how complicated this is going to be to do. But hey, you know, we already took up and put down and took up again different platforms. How hard can it be? So stay tuned for that in the coming weeks. I should have all redirects going, and all of my postponga@gmail.com address will always work to get me to reach out and carry this forward. The idea is to broaden the perspective. It's not just about what we were doing at Ponga. Those were lessons learned at Ponga, and this is what happens after that. And I'm very excited. I plan this to be a nonprofit that is really all about our little community and making that work. There are some subtle details of paperwork and nonsense that I have to take care of to really make that work. So we'll do it a little bit at a time. We're still a small group, but I'm astonished at how quickly we're growing. And I'm very proud and feel a responsibility to all of you who keep joining us. Every time I have all of you as names that are new to me, I'm trying not to pester you and call on you. But if you'd like to be called on, if you'd like to engage, just pop over your video and say hi, which is maybe now's a good chance.
Or type it in the chat.
Or type it in the chat. Always welcome. And you can always reach me on directly from the postponga.com website. I came up with a new event I'm going to schedule for a Tuesday, I think the 19th. Yes, it's Talk Like a Pirate Day. Who knew? There's Talk Like a Pirate Day on September 19th. And at 10 a.m. in the morning, I am going to do a session on QR codes, because I talked to two people and they both liked the idea. So I'm going to do it. The basic idea is to explain what a QR code works, what to be careful of, how to make it work for you, that kind of thing. Because I think QR codes are really pretty fundamental to connecting the physical world and the digital world. By the way, it's not the only way. It's just really convenient one. And so we'll talk a little bit about that. And that will also be, I hope, an inspiration for a bunch more ideas of things we can do. Yeah. Any last questions?
Can I put my hand up?
Yes.
I just figured out how to do it on my phone in Zoom the other day, and now I can't find it, but I'll just talk. Please, 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 if you have questions about, I remember in our steps, what's coming up is archiving the physical and the digital, which the digital, that'll be a minor part of that session because we've already talked at length about the whole privacy concerns. Barb has addressed those. And so we'll talk a little bit about that, about safe archiving, but we'll talk a lot about in that session what to do with the physical. Or if you want to have questions about the digital organizing piece, which is what do we do now? I've scanned 85,000 items. Now what do I do with those so that I can find them, so that they're, I could lay my hands on it. I was very excited because I've scanned a lot of photos over the last years. I found a new cousin about, I think before the last session, but we found a new cousin who was given up for adoption. When he was a baby. He's 2 years older than me, and I was able to find a whole bunch of pictures of his mom from around the time when he would have been born. And so that's to me is, and I can't wait to meet him. He has I've lost track now how many siblings he has. He's got 4 other siblings, and this has been, in his words, one of the highlights of his life has been to find out that he had all these brothers and sisters and that they all live in the same city as him and that they've got together. And so if he's 2 years older than me, so he's 65 or so. So to be able to find stuff like that without having to go through and dig through all the boxes was just, took me, and they're not even, but we'll talk about how digitally organize them. So I could have found them faster even than I did. So but please put questions in Cathy's Corner. You don't have to just put them anywhere in there. You don't have to just start a new post and say, I got questions. and we'll try and answer them. And it'll help me figure out what you want to see in those sessions.
One little technical tip on using the forum. There is a best practices document that should be pretty easy to find in the topics. And that explains things like when notifications are sent out to everybody. I know it can be a little intimidating to do a post because you think everybody's going to hear about it and go, oh my God, why are so many notifications? If you make a comment on someone else's post, notifications are not sent out. They go to the person who made the post and that's it, or anyone else you name. And there's a whole discussion about how to name someone. So don't hesitate to add to that forum. It gives us a great way between sessions to pool our resources and talents. I think I have 5 separate topics for each of the 5 elements. And frankly, I'm already bored with that. So I'm gonna consolidate those in my copious spare time. So I'll be making some shifts and changes, but the idea is always to make it more natural to what you want. So if you've got a good idea, let me know, because I'm always hungry for them. And as you may have noticed, I do try very hard to be responsive, and I certainly know I've learned a lot from all of you already, and I keep trying to tune this based on best practices and feedback. So don't go away wondering why I don't do X. Just tell me, and I probably will. So it's always a good approach. All right. Well, with that, I want to wrap this up, and a special thanks to you for joining us, Simon, as a founder of a fancy company in this humble little space. We're thrilled to have you join us, and Anna, all the way again from the wee hours of the morning tomorrow, always here to report on tomorrow's activity. And welcome AJ, first-time visitor. Too new to talk. Oh, you're going to be a winner. I can see that. You're already one of us. Welcome indeed. It's really special. I'm trying very hard not to call on you again who are new until you get a little sense of the community. You are all very, very, this is a safe space. And we look forward to learning from you, and hope you enjoy what we can contribute.
And wonderful to have Caroline here too.
Yes.
Caroline Hunter, who's I've known Carolyn for a long time. We won't say how long, but many, many years. And she's just brilliant, like
rock star.
You want project management methods? That's the lady. 10 plus years now. Yeah,
exactly.
I learned a lot from Carolyn, and she has such a diverse background between being a photo manager, teaching project management, and also being a genealogist, because as we know, there's that overlap. I don't think you can draw a distinct line between genealogy and photo management. So I'm very excited to have Carolyn in our community too. And welcome, Leanne.
Welcome.
We're happy to have you here too.
We're delighted to see this wonderful confluence of photo managers. Marcy, who just dropped out, I think is also a photo manager. That professional expertise combined with software. Thank you, Simon. And mere mortals like the rest of us, just trying to figure out how to make do with what we have and pull the stories out. And that's where we inspire each other. So thank you all. Thank you. Take care now. Till next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Did you stop recording?
I
Not yet.
realized I've stopped recording.